Hello and welcome back. So glad to be with you today. We had a great class on Monday night, and I know by now you've read and processed a lot of the material for this profile paper and are probably well on your way to some extraordinary work there. I did want to just take a few minutes now that you've gotten a chance to familiarize yourself with the paper, with some of the sample papers on the topic, and your own work, just to stress a few key points that are really critical for writing an exceptional paper in this genre. So really I wanted to look at four key points this morning with you kind of quickly. First of all, obviously a lot of the work that you're doing is to really create some detailed and concrete information about your subject. You'll be able, with this portion, to use a lot of the tools you already started to work with in your narrative piece last week, but take it a little bit further because you'll be doing some research and getting some additional knowledge on your subject. So make sure that as you're developing this paper that you have a lot of concrete, detailed information about the person or the place you're profiling. Remember that for your readers, we don't necessarily know your subject at all or anything about it. The second thing I wanted to just remind you about was the perspective you took on your subject. And that is really one of the distinctions that makes this paper different from simply a research paper or a paper that just has lots of information. Your perspective is what's going to make it interesting to the reader. For instance, we talked in class on Monday about the way watching the Olympics, we'll meet an athlete and learn about his background and story, and it's that perspective that shapes the way we think about that athlete. And you have that same task as a writer here to create a particular perspective that'll help you to shape your paper. The third thing you want to consider, and I know that we talked about this in class on Monday, just to remind you that it should be clear to the reader the perspective you're taking in terms of your writing. That is, not just the way you're shaping the material, but the role of the writer that you're taking, whether you're going to be an outside observer of your subject and give us this information sort of in the third person, the way that you might read an article or a more formal kind of piece, or, as we talked about on Monday, whether you want to be an insider. A little bit like Jenks in the MTV video that we discussed, where he, travels with the person he's profiling. He learns about their experience, maybe gets on the basketball court with them. So think about what fits better for your paper and make a decision there. Finally, the fourth thing that you're really going to want to pay attention to here is the way you organize your material. There's a temptation with this paper to do the interview and allow that interview to sort of shape your paper. That is to kind of organize your paper around the interview chronologically. That's usually not necessarily the best fit for organization. So go back to that thesis statement. I know we spent a lot of time talking about this last week. And think about what's the best way to organize this. If you have a particular approach and a perspective that you want to take to shape this subject, to shape this profile, what then would be the best way to organize it? Do you want to walk through the person's life, chronologically, or does it make more sense if you're profiling somebody and looking at their business to maybe think about the way the business started? So really think that through as you organize this paper, and it's going to help you make a more dynamic paper. I know a lot of this information is in your text. We've talked about it on Monday, but I just wanted to reiterate those points as you come to these final editing stages now of your paper. Again, as always, you can reach me by email or by phone if you've got a question that you want to answer more quickly in an hour or two. Phone is probably the best way. That number you have is my cell phone. If it's something that you don't need an answer right away, then email will work too. I check that every few hours really with this class because our class is moving so quickly here. So, all right, well, that's it for me. And as I look at your work this week, so far, some really great things. So stay focused and let's see what you can do. Thank you. Bye-bye.